everybody! Today I am going to be doing a book review of The Last of the Firedrakes by Farah Oomerbhoy. I hope I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. I was sent this in exchange for an honest review for BookTube tours, and there's also a giveaway going on for this book, so I will leave a link to that in the description box, along with all of the author and all the other book links for this. So this is a fantasy book that follows a girl called Aurora who was adopted when she was very young, and then her adopted parents actually ended up dying. So now she lives with her aunt, uncle, and cousin who do not treat her very nicely. And then one day she is kidnapped and pulled through this magical tapestry that takes her into a magical land called Avalonia, which this is the first book in the Avalonia Chronicles, if I forgot to mention at the beginning. And when Aurora gets to this land, she finds out that her biological parents were actually from this place, so that means she's also from this place, and everything unfolds from there. So I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. I thought it was okay. So because I kind of gave it a lower rating, I'm going to start off by telling you all the stuff that I didn't really like and thought could have been better in this story, so you kind of understand why I gave it a lower rating. So one of my main problems with this book was that I felt like it wasn't its own story. It kind of felt like a mashup of Harry Potter and the Chronicles of Narnia, and I'm sure you probably already spotted a Harry Potter similarity in the synopsis. I'm trying not to give too much away, but in this book there is an Academy of Magic, which immediately made me think of Hogwarts, and there's also 2 other characters in the story who are father and son, who are literally identical to Draco and his father. So throughout reading this book, I just couldn't really get that out of my mind. Like, I couldn't disconnect this from Harry Potter. Another thing about this story was that it was very fast-paced, and normally that would be a very positive thing. I really like fast-paced books, but with this one it felt almost too fast, especially at the beginning. Normally in like the first couple of chapters of books is when you get to know the main character and what they're like and what they like and stuff like that, but with this book I felt like it was boom boom boom, we're in this magical land, this is what's happening, and I never got to really get to know the main character, so I couldn't really connect to her, and that's like a big part of reading a book for me is the characters. Like, if I don't connect to the characters, it doesn't matter how great the plot is, I won't enjoy the book if I can't connect to the characters. Another problem that I had with this book was that it was very cliche, and sometimes it was so much so that it was just so predictable at points. Not only is like the plot just like the cliche fantasy kind of plot, but also the characters. The main character just trusts everybody straight away. She takes what everybody says as truth. And one of my biggest like pet peeves, whether it's in books, movies, TV shows, or anything like that, is when the antagonist or the villain explains his plan so that there's like just enough time for the character to get away. Another problem I had with this book was the love interest. Now, I feel like if this was made into a movie, the love interest would be a character that I would really like, but he shows up at like all the most opportune times to save the damsel in distress. She never learned from her mistakes, and she just kept getting herself into these situations, and luckily enough the love interest was always there to get her out. It's also a little insta-lovey, so I just want to mention that because I know a lot of people have a problem with that. And in this case, I didn't really have a huge problem with it because I'm kind of known to like see a person and immediately think I'm in love with them, so I don't really blame any characters when it comes to that. Another thing I wanted to mention was I believe this book is classified as young adult, but I found that the writing was kind of more of like middle grade sort of writing, and the way that the characters kind of reacted to certain situations and stuff like that kind of felt more like a middle grade book. And also just some of the things that happened in this book I think would be more appealing to people of that age. And I know that like I read middle grade books, so I don't have a huge problem with that, but I just thought it's worth mentioning to say that I think it is written in a way that would be more appealing to people of the middle grade age. So now I'm going to move on to the stuff that I did actually like about this book. The first thing has absolutely nothing to do with the story, but just cover alone, I would give a 5 out of 5 stars. It's also one of those like really, really soft covers. But another thing that I liked about the story was the magical elements. I really, really liked it. I remember this one part when Aurora goes to this kind of like festival for fairies, and just the way that the author described all of the fairies and what they looked like and what the houses looked like. And I remember that this one fairy had like this plant that would grow strawberries that already had cream on them. So that was just something that I did really, really like about this story. Overall, I thought the book was okay. As I said at the beginning, my like main problem with this book was connecting to the characters, because that's just such a big part of the story for me. So in the end, would I recommend this to you? Yes, because just because I didn't like a book doesn't mean it won't be somebody else's favorite book. So if you like the kind of classic fairy tale, I don't want to keep using the word cliche, so I'm going to say like the classic kind of fairy tale fantasy book, you will probably really like this book. If you like fae stories, this has a lot of fae in it, you will also really like this book, I think. So leave me a comment down below letting me know what you thought of this book if you read it, or if you're interested in reading it. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you'd like to see more of my videos, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!